Hey boys, welcome back to some more real life discussions here. Going through the teams, the NRL 2019 season, a bit of a review of the teams, like I talked about in the first episode with the Broncos. Now we're going to go down the list and going to be doing the Canberra Raiders. So we started out on the weaker side with my boys, the Bronx, and now we're on to one of the top echelon of teams this year, the Canberra Raiders, who obviously they made the grand final. They lost. It was a good game. I'm not gonna go into the game at all, but we'll talk about their season. So initially, the Raiders, I did tip them to make the top 8. I didn't expect them to go as well as they have. But looking at the start of the year, on paper, I thought the team is very strong. There were a few unknowns for sure. There were definitely a few unknowns, and that one of the biggest surprise packets for sure. Definitely a smoky, the Canberra Raiders this year. I think a lot of people thought they'd be good, but definitely the very start of the year, there were a lot of people who were a little bit skeptical of a couple of positional changes, and the most noteworthy one here is Jack Wighton moving to 5'8". Now, obviously it's easy in hindsight, but originally I was pretty stoked for Jack Wighton to move into the halves, because he has always been an incredibly strong defender at fullback. He has put on some huge hits at the back. He's an absolute weapon in defense, and he's always been just an incredibly strong ball carrier, quick, strong, far. All the attributes of a big 5'8". The only question mark that I personally had would be his, kicking game number one, and just general 5'8" ball playing ability. But at the same time, I thought they would use him more as just that, just a ball running 5'8", and that's what he was used as. He did get a few, he did get some try assists for the year, but it was definitely, his ball, his taking on the line, best in the game. Honestly, his Jack Wighton 5'8", taking on the line, best in the game. I think anyway. But the big one there, his kicking game was outstanding. I don't know if he always had that ability, or maybe he had most of the ability there, and then he just worked extremely hard in the preseason. I did read an article very recently that he did train with one of the AFL teams in the preseason for his kicking. And honestly, when I read that, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. It makes so much sense, because his kicking game was unreal. It was probably one of the best parts of his game. Like his number one best part of the game, and it was every time he did it, it almost worked just extremely well, but it also brought the whole team on the front foot, and that was his kick into the corner and his kick chase. He obviously miskicked a few, but generally he would get into the corner pretty well, and just his kick chase, dude, and just belting wingers and fullbacks. It was, honestly, I loved watching the Raiders this year. Just that alone, their aggression, the defense was always aggressive and strong, and it was always led by that man Jack Wighton. So I think Jack Wighton, Josh Papali, they were far and away the Raiders' best players this year. I mean, they had a lot of good ones. John Bateman was a standout as well. So it's probably a little bit harsh to say they were far and away the best, but I think those two were the standouts in a very good team all year. But yeah, John Bateman as well was excellent, and he was a bit of an unknown. Well, he was a lot of an unknown, really. I'd seen him play for England in a couple of internationals, and he looked like a strong player. But the limited time I saw him, nothing incredible. I thought he'd be a good recruit, but I wasn't expecting quite the level that he brought over. And then, the other English quartet was also excellent. And then the other guy, I almost completely forgot, but Chance Nickel-Klokstad from the Warriors. What a signing. What an absolute gem, dude. And, again, I sort of thought he would be, I thought he would go under the radar, and I thought people would be talking about him at the end of the year as one of the good buys of the year, as one of the best buys of the year, really, because he got a few games for the Warriors, but every time he played, dude, he played on the wing, and every time he played, he was just a tackle-breaking machine. He scored quite a few tries in his limited games there, and he just looked good. He looked good every time he touched the ball, and that was his biggest thing. He's in the mold of a Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, James Tedesco, not in terms of ability, but in terms of work rate. He's one of those guys that is just, he's in everything. He's taking 20 runs a game. He's getting the team on the front foot, and it's crucial. I mean, it shows such a difference. Like I was talking about the Broncos last episode, and Darius Boyd at fullback being a passenger, not running the ball, not taking 15 runs a game, and it's a huge difference. If you get a fullback that is a tackle breaking machine, he's quick, he gets in, he does the hard stuff, it's such a bonus. It gives the big fellas a rest, it gives the team momentum, and I mean, that's been the Raiders' sort of success for the last few years. The outside backs in, Joey Leilua, Rapana, Nick Kotrick, those guys getting in and making good grounds, getting offloads. And this year they had that, and then they also had the polish on the end. And the main thing was the defense. The defense was just, it went to another level. I don't know what changed. I really don't know what changed. I mean, the Raiders in the last couple of years, you would not consider them a powerhouse in defense. They could always score points, and that was sort of their thing, was that they would score more points than the opposition, and that's how they won games generally. But this year they turned it around. They were still scoring some great tries, but the defense they were just they were just working for each other, like you'd hope they would. And it was just a stellar year. Absolute stellar year. Josh Papali also, I mean, a huge shout out to him. Like I said, him and Jack Wighton, I think, were their probably best players. And then probably, Bateman and Nickel-Klokstad, I think, are right up there as well. But Papali was huge. I mean, that's probably, it's got to be his best season he's played in the NRL, I would say. He's been a great player for a long time. I think he's a player that does sort of go under the radar a little bit, but this year he was just every game, especially in the Origin, he was huge. And then I feel like the back end of the season, he just took his game just to another level. He was just unstoppable at times. At most times, really. He was incredible, and Ricky Stewart was giving him more minutes. He was handling it well for a big man, and he was carrying that forward pack. But he wasn't doing it on his own. The other forwards did a great job as well. And it's a team, and that's the cool thing about the Raiders is that you look on paper, their forward pack is not a star-studded forward pack by any means. Like, if you look at their forward pack compared to a lot of the other forward packs in the comp, you would say, meh. And a lot of people were saying that at the start of the year, that, they lack a bit of size. Like, they got rid of Shannon Boyd. They got rid of... They got rid of another big fella. I can't think who it was. But they just had all these guys that just did their job. I mean... Elliot Whitehead's always been strong. Bateman, like I talked about, not a big fella, but very strong attack and defense. And then, Soliola, the veteran, again, a stellar year. Then you have like Ryan Sutton, who I think, he's been a bit in and out of the team, but every time he played, he was strong. And then you got guys like Corey Horsburgh, who's a bit of an up and coming star and a Queenslander. Thank God. We need some boys coming up, and he looks like an absolute beauty. But another guy who just came from the blue and did a great job. The only other guy I want to give a shout out, I guess, to is Bailey Simonson, who played, I think, almost the whole season. He was in for Rapana when he was out for a long time, and then Leilua was out injured. So Bailey Simonson got he was on the wing for a good chunk of the year, and he was outstanding. Bailey Simonson, he was a real smoky. He was a real dark horse that came up and sort of like a Nickel Clockstad. Just no one was really talking about him. But he was great. He was excellent and a very good season. So yeah, the Raiders did a fantastic job. I'll be interested to see because I didn't mention this guy either, but Aiden Caesar, who I really like as a player. I'm surprised that the Raiders they've gone and signed George Williams from England. I'm very. It's a risk. Let's be real. It's a risk there because Aiden Caesar, he's just a quality footballer. I remember he played at the Titans, obviously, and I really liked him at the Titans. When he was at the Titans, that was sort of like the Titans, not their absolute prime. When they first came into the comp with like Rodgers and LaFranchi and those guys, that was their like best sort of squad. But when Caesar was there, the Titans were a really solid team, and Caesar is just that solid halfback that a lot of teams sort of overlook, but it's just quality. He's got an excellent kicking game. He's also an incredibly good goal kicker. I was actually honestly, Jared Croker was kicking like absolute dog shit all year, dude. He was kicking awful. You got a guy like Aiden Caesar who is, I'm not going to lie, I think Aiden Caesar is a better goal kicker than Jared Croker from what I've seen. Croker is a notorious misser, let's be real. He's kicked a lot of goals, but he's missed a lot of goals as well. Aiden Caesar, when he kicks goals, I mean, I don't know, maybe he lost a bit of his touch because he definitely hasn't kicked for a while, but I mean, I know when he has kicked, he's a great goal kicker. I was actually surprised they didn't switch, but you know, Croker's been there from the start, and you know, he's broken all the records, so I guess he didn't want to give the goal kicking up, but it probably would have saved them a little bit of hassle, let's be real. But yeah, Croker, Wighton, he's got that kicking game, pretty strong in defense, and you know, he's not a attacking weapon, but he gives good service, and the main thing is he controls the team, kicks the ball well, and that's the highly underrated trait of a halfback. I think a lot of teams go for flashy guys, quick, you know, that can score these freakish tries, but just, you know, that solid halfback that has a great kicking game and good service is very crucial to a team going well, especially if the forward pack is strong and the outside backs are strong as well. Like, you just got to give them early ball and let them do the thing. That's what they're paid to do. So just give them the ball and let them go. So that's the thing though. Caesar, I don't know what's going on with Caesar. I don't know if he's contracted to the Raiders next year or they might be shopping him around. They probably are shopping him around because they probably want to keep other guys with George Williams coming to the club. I don't know. I don't know where Caesar is going to end up, but I mean, he's a quality player. I think he could go to a lot of clubs. I think the Titans would I would love the Titans to try to get Caesar back to the club. Who else? I mean, honestly, the Cowboys could do with an Aiden Caesar. A lot of clubs I think could work with Aiden Caesar. But it'll be interesting. I as a Raiders fan, I'd be a little bit, not necessarily worried, but I'd be a little bit, I don't know, maybe a little bit upset that they're getting rid of Caesar for George Williams. You know, he's an international player, but it's sort of been known that you know, the English forwards that come over to the NRL, they there's only been like maybe one or two in recent memory that have sort of come over and failed, but the rest of them have been excellent. The outside backs have all basically been complete flops. We haven't actually, I don't think there's really been a half come over in recent times, if at all. I can't really think, but George Williams, I don't know, we'll see. I think the benefit there is he's playing with a bunch of, you know, he's Hodgson, Whitehead, Bateman. I'm sure they know him. It'll probably make the transition a lot easier, you know, because he's going to be controlling the team. So it's a big position to fill when you're coming over from the other side of the world and into a brand new environment. So we'll see. The Raiders, I expect big things next year, but they could, depending how that goes. I mean, if the halfback doesn't fire, and it doesn't gel, then, you know, things can happen. Things can go downhill pretty quickly. So as a Raiders fan, I'd be optimistic and confident for next year, but also in the back of my head, I'd be a little bit jaded, just at the prospect of what could happen there. But we'll see. He's apparently pretty highly regarded. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I do want to see how he goes and how the Raiders sort of either go to another level, if they stay about the same, or if they maybe dip. So yeah, that's the Raiders season as a whole. Excellent year. You know, one of my favorite teams to watch. I love the Raiders. You know, they're a team you just, you know, as a neutral fan, you go for the Raiders, dude. So it's disappointing that they lost the GF, but regardless, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.